Kasakai, Lara, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you today?
I'm doing well as well. Thank you
Good.
so much. Lara, I have way too many questions than these 30 minutes can fit in, but then we'll try and squeeze
Okay,
in as much as we can.
sure. Sounds good.
Firstly, I'm aware that you like to travel a lot. So my
hmm
first question is going to be, once all of this concludes and this is over, where would you travel to?
So I actually have a trip booked for November to Nepal. I'm going to go trekking for 12 days to Everest Base Camp. So I
Wow.
have my fingers crossed that it doesn't get cancelled. So
Likewise.
that is my next trip. And yes, if it gets postponed, that will still be my next trip. So you can see I have my globe up on my. I'm always thinking about travel.
Well, what a surprise. I've come ready with one prop too, but then before that, a question. Is there a travel necessity that you travel with? I mean, something that you absolutely can't do without?
Um, Probably my Kindle. So I have a Kindle with hundreds of books because I have had many flight delays and many times where I've been stuck at airports. So it's good to have something to read that doesn't require like just looking at social media and stuff. So definitely my Kindle.
Wonderful. That's,
Yeah.
that's a good piece of advice. I think I hope all our listeners pay heed to that. All right. Well, in the scheme of things, it was initially my plan to go ahead and congratulate you first. I had to congratulate you on cracking the Open University exams, and I'd
Thank
like
you.
to know a little more about that. So, could you tell us a little more about which course you were doing, how
Mhm.
easy, difficult was it, and of course, something that we touched base before we started recording on work-life balance. I'd like to learn a little more about that from you.
Yeah, so the Open University, for those who don't know, is a distance learning university based in the UK. So it's a full degree that I'm doing. So I'm actually studying international relations with politics, and I have just finished my second year. So I have another 4 to go. So I'm not completely finished. But I have a real passion for the international community and politics, and I wanted to broaden my horizons outside of just hospitality and technology. So it's very interesting. A lot of what I did this year was about social justice, actually. So immigration, refugees, climate, environment. So it was a lot of variety. It's kind of nice to get away from the world of ideas to do something a little bit different sometimes.
All right. Well, you and I, we both work from an office environment otherwise. And would you say that this plunge into learning or taking this course from the Open University has only been possible because you're working from home now, or was it something that was all along on your plans?
It was a lot easier working from home, definitely. It requires approximately 15 hours a week of studying and essay writing and tutorials. So having my commute is about 2 hours a day to Marlow. So having 2 hours back really did help. And not traveling as well, having more time and not traveling has actually helped in a roundabout way.
I had a minor concussion hearing that schedule.
It is a lot, but it's worth it because I think if you're going to study beyond the normal age, you should study something that you're passionate about because then it's easy. So I like reading anyway. So reading a textbook is for me no different from reading a novel or a travel guide because it's something that I'm interested in.
Lovely. So, other than your course material, is there anything else that you're reading at the moment? Is there anything else that interests you?
Oh, at the moment, not really. I'm actually binging Netflix at the moment. I think like everyone on lockdown. So no, now that my study has finished, I'm taking a few weeks, well, on a break rather than finished. I'm taking a few weeks of not reading. But yes, I am mainly watching Netflix and also I volunteer with a youth group as well. So we're actually doing online trainings. So tonight, for example, I'm teaching teenagers how to read maps. So my evenings have recently been spent preparing for that and practicing how to teach something online that you would normally do in a field. So that's a lot of my time at the moment.
That, that sounds kind of exquisite. Learning how to read maps. Never really approached that subject in that fashion of, learning it from someone.
Yeah.
Well, do let me know if you have a seat open for your class tonight. I'd
Yes, you should
like to join
come
in.
and join. Definitely.
Yeah, well, talking about your trek to the Himalayas,
Yeah.
your fitness regime has caught a lot of eyes, as have your Twitter posts. So we have one question related to both. Which
Okay.
one would you like to go with first? Allow us to ask you what is your fitness regime like and any tips for us during this lockdown?
So I mainly run. So I run 2 or 3 days a week, and I walk. And I've started doing. I've actually started doing ballet classes, which is kind of different online. It's something that I used to do when I was a child. Um, my tip would just be variety. I think if you try and do the same thing too much, it gets boring. So yeah, do different things, make it interesting. I listen to podcasts while I run, like history podcasts, so that I can learn about
Right.
history. So I'm kind of doing two things together. So that would be my top tip. Um,
Well,
yeah.
we have something in common there. I listen to podcasts as well when I'm working out, but I am more on the science and technology bit.
Uh,
So yeah, that's all. So, well, you've been very active on Twitter, as I just mentioned, and
mhm.
something from 2019 caught my eyes, our
Oh,
team's eyes, if I may say that.
okay.
Something that you overheard in a park. It's not about being the best, it's about being your best. Now,
Ah, yes, that was on Christmas Day. I remember that. I really like that.
all right. So, how has the relevance changed? For this statement changed since COVID-19, and how are you imbibing to this, if I may ask?
Yeah, I think so I apply that quite often to fitness. So when I run, I had quite a bad chest infection for a while and I lost a lot of fitness and I really struggled and I would give myself a hard time because I wasn't running as fast or as far as I could. And then I realized, well, it doesn't matter because as long as I'm doing the best that I can, it doesn't matter if I'm not going as fast as last year or as fast as other people are. And I'm trying to take that approach to everything. And I took that snippet that I overheard and made it my New Year's resolution just to be kind to myself. So, if I don't achieve everything I set out to do today, then it doesn't matter as long as I've tried the hardest that I could. That we shouldn't always set ourselves these impossible benchmarks to achieve. None of us are superheroes. So it's, do the best that you can do, but be kind to yourself and don't give yourself a hard time if you don't achieve it.
We'd like to hear a travel story where you had an adventure or some travel trip that turned into an adventure inadvertently.
Oh, so a trip from work. So I'm very fortunate that I have family all over the world. So I try to visit family when I go on a work trip. So, for example, I went to Australia to do training with Shangri-La, and I managed to add on to that a trip to the Great Barrier Reef. I went scuba diving. And then I met my family who live in Australia, who, that would be almost impossible for me to visit normally. And we went climbing in the mountains and went to the Blue Mountains and went to some vineyards. So I've also managed to go to see Niagara Falls through work with my great aunt. So my grandfather's sister, who I hadn't seen in 20 years, I managed to see on a work trip as well. So yeah, I consider myself extremely fortunate, particularly with my time when I was at CTS, that I managed to have those experiences, see amazing sights, but also see family as well. So that's definitely my top travel tip actually, is make sure you make time to see things. There's nothing worse than just seeing the airport, the hotel, and a taxi. I would rather sacrifice a bit of my personal time and see the location I'm going to, always.
I think that's the way to go about it, and I think that
Mhm.
that resonates a lot with me because although work has not really given me the opportunity to travel much, but in my personal time, in and around wherever I
Yeah.
am in the vicinity, I've always been around, and uh, a lot of that credit goes to my wife. Fun.
Yes. Good. You give her
Well,
credit for that.
Laura, it has been a great conversation so far, and I think I'd like to conclude this interview with one message from you to our Ideas family. Uh, Need not be one message, could be a bunch of messages, but then I'd like to hear from you to our entire Ideas family.
I think I would just say thank you to everyone I work with. I have never worked anywhere as long as I've worked at Ideas, and It's been over 6 years, but it doesn't feel like that long. I love the fact that everyone ideas works together. We're going through a situation right now that no one would ever have dreamed 6 months ago that we'd be going through. But everyone has pulled together. Everyone is working their hardest. And yeah, I think just thank you for making it such a great experience, and for being so nice, fun to work with. So that would be my last message.
I think I would echo that as well, and I take this very moment to thank the entire IDs family. Uh, Usually, what happens is I've never really worked with teams that work or operate out of different continents, but
Mm,
then the cohesiveness with which we all work has indeed led me to believe that distance is only a matter of thinking. It doesn't really exist,
absolutely.
if I may say that. Well, thank you so much for this, Laura. Thank you for your time
Thank
and
you
thank
for
you for agreeing to
inviting
do
me.
this.
I'm very flattered that you asked me and you think I'm interesting enough to interview. So thank you.